Hey, it's MBS here, Micheal Bungay Stanier, author of The Coaching Habit and my new book, The Advice Trap, and some questions from the Sharing for Good team, which I'm happy to try and answer. So here we go. Number one, you studied English literature at Oxford. True, I did a master's degree. How important is poetry and literature for you? Do you think you could have become a weird professor of English literature, maybe in the next life? How are poetry and literature alive and present in your work? Well, I don't think I could have become a professor because that requires doing a PhD, and I just don't have the patience and probably the brains to do a PhD, so that probably rules that out. One of the things about doing a master's degree at Oxford is I saw the people who were really ambitious to be brilliant professors of literature, and I'm like, you're so much smarter and so much more into it and so much better than I am. But what I am is I know I'm a good teacher. And so part of it is also going, where do I find my place in the world to be as effective a teacher as possible? And it's actually through writing books and speaking to people like this and designing programs that I think I have more impact in the world. So I'm glad I made this choice. As to where poetry and literature fit, I still read a lot. I read a lot of books. This little camera is on a stack of 10 books, just to lift the camera up a little bit. So one of the reasons you become a great writer is by being a voracious reader. So one of the ways that I hope literature and poetry still show up in my life, just apart from the everyday pleasure of reading, is that I strive to be the best writer I can. And hopefully people see that in the way that I write and the references that I can make through that as well. In fact, I'm in quarantine at the moment, and I'm doing a quarantine poem a day, which I'm posting on my LinkedIn feed, just as another way of connecting to my love of literature and sharing the experience of quarantine. So that's the first question. Second question, how do I organize my day? How do you manage thousands of contacts with your peers, authors you'd like, and famous world coaches? How do you find time to read and remain always so updated? Well, I'm not sure I have a great answer to that. A key part of my day is using a journal, not so much in the creative, write creative pages like the artist's way, but I'm more of a bullet journal fan where I write at the start of each day, I will let go of, I am grateful for, I will focus on. So it helps just define my key work. I use a project management tool called Asana to keep track of the tasks and the like. I don't do a particularly great job at staying in touch with the many assorted cool people that I've met in my life. And that's one of the things I'm trying to think about. It's like, I know 500 cool people. It's almost impossible to keep up with all those people, to invite them into my life, to stay in good contact with them. So I'm actually trying to experiment with ways of holding virtual gatherings where I just get to introduce some of those people to each other, but also connect to them and remind myself how great some of these people are. Question number 3, when do I get pissed off? Are you getting better at not getting pissed off? I don't get pissed off. I don't get angry often. Not many people, I don't think anybody would call me an angry person. I don't shout, I don't rant, I don't rage. What happens with me is trust gets broken. And trust gets broken for me in 2 ways. One is if you lie to me, that's a really big blow, a really big blow. And the second is if you kind of blame others, you don't take responsibility and accountability for your own work. I come in going, I'm going to give you full trust because I just prefer to live that way in my life, even though I lose occasionally when that happens. I win more often than not, and I win in my attitude to life. So that's how you break relationship with me, is you lie to me and you don't take responsibility for stuff that's yours to take responsibility for. Number 4, is it hard to find a balance for you? How do you relax? As many people passionate about their work, is it sometimes hard to find a balance between what we enjoy doing so much? So it's like, am I a workaholic? He's not actually saying that, but kind of. So I physically relax in a bunch of ways. Like, I do yoga quite a lot. I exercise a fair bit. I read a lot. I play ukulele a little bit. I even brought a ukulele along with me in quarantine. so that I can practice that. I hang out with my wife, who is awesome. But I'm also, I love my work, and I work fairly intensely on that. And it is an ongoing process for me to keep asking myself, am I overly committed to my work? Or how do I ensure that there's other stuff coming into my life other than just the joy I get from my work? And you're right, I don't have a good answer to that other than I think about it and I keep working it. And I keep checking in with people who love me around how present am I with them. So I've been donating, you're very conscious about what's going on. You've been donating parts of your book's sales to charity. Do you think coaching has a role in the global justice movement or making a post-COVID-19 world better? And then there's some additional stuff around that. So I would say that part of what I'm known for is this power of coaching and the coaching books I've written, which have sold almost 1 million copies now, which is amazing. But there's an ideological piece behind coaching, which is about power and how power is managed and how it works. Here's the fundamental piece. First of all, let's define what I mean by coaching. And for me, it's a behavior change. Can you stay curious a little bit longer? Can you rush to action and advice giving a little bit more slowly? And when you are in advice giving mode, what that is in a position of authority, in other words, a position of power and control. I have the answer. I am the senior person. I have status. I will tell you what to do. If you shift to being more coach-like, curious longer, asking a question, you're actually inviting the other person in to take control of the conversation, to take ownership of the insight, to take ownership of taking on and figuring out the challenge. It is a significant shift in power. It's a micro shift in power. So to the question around, do I think coaching has a role in the global justice movement? I think curiosity is absolutely one of the fundamental leadership behaviors, because it is about a shift of knowing and a vulnerability and a willingness to share power. And that's absolutely what the global justice movement is about in many ways. Question number 6. You wrote a book on malaria, whose sales went to helping finding a new way to cure this disease. What brought me to dedicate a book on this subject? So the book is called End Malaria, and it's actually not about malaria at all. It's 60 people sharing articles or essays they've written around how to do more great work, how to have more impact in the world. And but what's cool about it is all the money we raised, I did this in partnership with a marketer called Seth Godin, went to Malaria No More, and we raised about $400,000 for that. I decided to do that, not actually because I had a big commitment to malaria, but because I wanted to do a project that made a difference in this world. So I actually went and I looked up the millennial goals from the United Nations, and eradicating malaria was one of them. And I figured out that it had the lowest unit price of change, which is one mosquito net cost $10. So I thought, if I could create something that would raise $10 at a shot, that would make a difference. So for the Malaria No book, it's like, actually we end up raising pretty much $20 per book. So buy a book and generate 2 nets for Malaria No More. And it was that equation that got me to the malaria piece and the malaria project. And then the final question is, hope for me is? That's a good question. What is hope for me? I hope that people see, this may not be useful, but I should say it anyway. It is remarkable to be alive right now. It's just remarkable to be alive, meaning on a planet that sustains like higher level intelligent life, that we can talk to each other through a video like this, that I can look out my window in Sydney and see an amazing city, see blue sky, and when we reconnect to the kind of that, let's call it a miracle of being alive, just how extraordinary it is. That's what fills me with hope. which is like the wonder of it all. That's it. I'm Micheal Bungay Stanier. You can find out more about me at mbs.works. Thanks for listening.